up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a bit of a get to know me. We're looking specifically at my childhood and stuff in this one. I'm going to try and theme them, that way we can sort of explore different parts of who I am over a course of a couple of videos sort of thing. And then that way, in addition to all the other videos, by the end you guys should know me pretty well. So let's dive into these questions. I will leave a link to where I got the questions from in the description if you want to click on that and be able to read them so you can answer them yourselves in the comments. That'd be really cool. So let's dive on into this. So there are 7 questions here. There's only 7, so I'm going to try and long answer them as best I can. So the first one is, who was your best friend when you were a kid? I mean, that's an excellent question. Let me just make sure that my answer's not gonna answer a second question here. It's not gonna answer one. No. Cool. I can answer this one this way. So when I was a kid, particularly when I was in primary school, our family moved around a lot when I was a kid, so I didn't really have a one best friend, and it's sort of, I think of all the things that other people had, in school and stuff, of all the things that other people had, I think that was the one thing that I sort of wanted the most, was to just have that one friend who, I could now look back on at, 26 years old and be like, I've known him since we were 12, or whatever it might have been, because, especially sort of towards the end of primary school, beginning of high school, I was like, oh yeah, no, we've known each other since kindergarten. It's like, yeah, I don't have that. I don't have a one friend who I've already established is going to be a lifelong friend before I've finished high school, sort of a thing. So yeah, I don't know if that answers this question or not, but I don't have a best friend from when I was a kid. There are people that I care very deeply about that I've known for ages now, but when I was a kid, I did not have that. If I can, I'm hoping to go visit some people this year, and one of them is my best friend, and I would love to be able to make a video with them. That'd be so awesome. But we'll see, hopefully. Question number 2. What was your best family vacation? Best family vacation. I mean, we didn't really go on vacation, sort of a thing, the way I think most people do, I know people who, when they were kids, would be like, oh yeah, no, we're, mum and dad are going to take us to, somewhere overseas or whatever, for the Christmas holidays or whatever, and like they would have like an actual vacation. We just sort of visited family. Like I have travelled internationally, but I did that after I'd finished high school, so I was already an adult before I actually left the country. So we're gonna have to look at domestic travel as far as going on vacations concerned, and in that case it'd probably be, there are a couple of times where we would go up to like Brisbane or the Gold Coast, which we did at least once every 2 years, at minimum, if not try to do it like once a year. But Christmas was always sort of spent. One year we'd go to visit Mum's family. The next year we'd go to Dad's family for Christmas, sort of a thing. But yeah, one of the times we went up to Brisbane, I remember we were told that we were just gonna sort of go out and be doing like some shopping or something. And I was like, okay, that's kind of boring, but sure, if that's what we're doing, I don't really have a choice. I have to sort of follow the adults. And so I was just sort of, I can't remember what I was doing. I was just sort of like minding my own business. I think I was playing games on my phone or something at the time. So I must have been in high school by this time. And when I got told that, okay, we're here, and looked up, we'd pulled into the car park of Movie World, and actually I think this might have been a birthday thing for me, because my birthdays were always in the holidays. And so we'd sort of arrived, and I remember it had been because, no, it was definitely a high school thing, because they just opened the Green Lantern roller coaster there, and I remember being like, I want to go on that so bad, and so yeah, we just sort of rocked up there. So we went on that. We went on the Superman. I think they'd also revamped what used to be the Lethal Weapon into the Arkham Asylum. We did that. We did the Scooby-Doo coaster like 2 or 3 times, just because it's a classic. Did we do Wet n Wild Falls that time? Or was that a different? I've been there at least 3 or 4 times. I love it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. That was probably the best one. But basically any holiday when I got to see family members on either side was pretty cool. Question number 3. I'm not sure I want to answer this one. What was your most embarrassing childhood moment? You know what? We're just gonna own it. It doesn't affect us anymore anyway. When I was smaller, and this is a primary school story, we are looking at like early 2000s here, but I can't remember if this is actually what it was that I got diagnosed with, but this is just what I was told that it was. But basically I had like constipation, and so that sometimes resulted in me unintentionally soiling myself, which obviously is It's like, okay, that's all right, cool. I was on, at one point, I was on like 3 different types of medication. I had this horrible stuff I had to take, I think it was once a week. Or it may have been one a day. And I always had it in the morning, and it tasted so foul that, and it was like a liquid. So my parents would mix it in with like a juice to try and like compensate for how horrible it tasted. And to this day, I cannot drink, because they would put it in with like breakfast juice, and by that I mean like the bottles that say breakfast juice on the label. And because of that, to this day, I cannot drink. I just cannot stand the taste of breakfast juice just on its own, because there's some little traumatized part in the back of my head that brings up that taste in my mouth when it's horrible. I refuse to drink it. I'm so glad they didn't do that to apple juice. Oh. Or orange and mango. I don't know what I would have done. I love juice, but I cannot. So that was one of them. Another one was this like chocolate flavored thing. I had to have like a teaspoon of it, and it was like little pellets, and they, swear to God, looked like rat droppings, but they were like chocolate flavored. It was weird. And then the third one was I had to have a teaspoon of paraffin oil, and it also wasn't great. So I would take that and then sort of use the second one as the chaser. And so when I was doing it in the morning, it had to be the juice, because it's horrible, and then the oil, and then the chaser, and then I would have breakfast just to make sure that I wasn't going to school just being like, because it was foul. And yeah, that affected me for years. The embarrassing part of this story is that there was at one point there where we were helping out some kids, and one of them happened to be in my grade, and so we sort of became friends for a bit. And then, obviously, while I'm at home, in what should have been a safe space, these other people are sort of finding out some of these things. And this kid who I thought was my friend before we'd like sort of taken them in for, I think it was like a week or two in total, just while their parents sort of sorted some stuff out and the whole thing, and I don't fully understand what happened because I was little. But yeah, no, he took that information to school and started spreading that around. And I obviously was embarrassed and humiliated, and I felt betrayed. But yeah, that was probably it. I was so livid when I found out that, anyway. Question number 4, let's move on. What caused you to get into the most trouble with your parents? I mean, I have a pretty short temper, and the things that I like to do, I generally like to have some, at least, feeling of control over it. I think that's sort of, if we're going to get real psychological on it, I think it stems from a place of the fact that I had to move around so much because of my parents' work, wanting to have some sort of control over something in my life. And so I could be very stubborn on some things, and and that tended to get me in a bit of trouble. There was one particular occasion though that I think, because I mean, like, yeah. So before I get into the one occasion that I just brought up, there was like pretty much throughout like all of my schooling, I would get in, you know, like detentions. I had a couple of suspensions as well, more so in high school. That's a whole other thing. There's a whole other half of that particular story, so we will get into that in another one, in another video. But there was this one occasion where I was talking to one of my friends at school while I was in primary school, and they were like, "Oh, you should come over to my place after school, and, you know, and I can like," because we were talking about, I don't know, it might have been like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or something, and they're like, "You should come over to my place after school and I'll show you this really cool card I've got," or something along those lines. Anyway, obviously had not cleared this with my parents first, and I was just like, well, I only live that far away, so I can afford to go and spend like 5 minutes looking at this thing and then go home. So I did, and yeah, you bet your ass I was grounded. Especially since at the end of the 5 minutes I was like, okay, well I should probably go. It had started to come over really stormy, and it had in actual fact been more than 5 minutes, obviously, because we had to ride our bikes to his place, and he lived just a little bit further in kind of the opposite direction from my place. So yeah, that was that. Question number 5. How did you and your family celebrate holidays? I'm assuming it's going to mean like the big secular ones like Easter and Christmas. So we're just going to sort of address this one holiday at a time. And I'll put like New Year's in with like Christmas since it's all in that period. So Easter was always a thing that we would do if we could. Like if Easter itself actually fell in the school holidays, we would go and visit my nan and pop, and like we'd go and do church and stuff with them. That was always a highlight of the year. So that was, for the most part, that was Easter. I mean, the next big one's Halloween, really. There's nothing really in the middle of the year, is there? It's just a whole lot of not much. Halloween was never really a thing. And I remember always being, you know, like always wishing. Most people wish that they could have a white Christmas in Australia because it's summer here. And I was always like, it's fine. We have our own traditions, they're cool. I always wanted to have that like movie Halloween, like go trick-or-treating, the really cool costumes, you know, like it's a full holiday. Halloween was probably my favourite time of the year. And yeah, I was always upset that we didn't do that, and it's only been real recently that people in Australia have started doing things like trick-or-treating. Mate, we get it. You've got a small dick. Stop revving your car engine like that, though. People's trying to sleep or make videos. Thanks. Sorry. Hoons. But yeah, no, I always wanted a movie Halloween. Be able to put on a really cool costume, go trick or treating. You know, have like the Halloween meal and stuff. And even in high school, you know, I always wanted to be able to have like, you know, scary movie nights with my friends and stuff on Halloween. I don't do scary movies, by the way. Not normally. I'm getting better at it. My overactive imagination just doesn't handle them well. They can cause nightmares, which is always fun. But yeah, so that was Halloween. Halloween was sort of a non-event, and then Christmas, as I said before, was usually 1 year with my dad's family, 1 year with my mum's family, and that would alternate each year. So yeah, it was kind of cool. Most of Mum's family lives up in Brisbane, so we would go there in the summer, and that was during the summer, so we'd be able to go to like the beaches and stuff up there. It was really cool. And then my dad's family lives down just south of, like an hour south of Sydney, so we would go there. It's a little bit colder, but it did mean that the days were cool enough that we could go out and actually do some things. You know, we might go to, I think there were a couple of times we actually went into Sydney and did things like the zoo. But yeah, they were always, when I was a kid, my only cousins when I was a kid were on my dad's side of the family, so that was cool. It wasn't just like a whole bunch of adults and then myself and my siblings. It was, you know, my cousins as well. We got to hang out with them. It was really cool. How did you spend your summer breaks? That is the exact same question that I've now answered twice. But if we're talking like, was there a common thing that we would do other than visit family? The beach was always one, because obviously we're not visiting for Christmas for the full like 6 weeks or whatever for summer break. So we would normally go to the beach or something at some point. Just trying to think what else did we do? It's really weird because summer breaks in Australia is sort of like Christmas, New Year, and then by the end of January you've got Australia Day. And I know that that's a touchy subject, but it exists there currently. So we're going to acknowledge the current fact, whether that's its preferred date of celebration or not. But yeah, so like there's actual things to do. So it's not like some boring period where it's like, oh yeah, no, this is where we go and we do these things, and then in winter we've got this and this and this. In Australia, it's the winter holidays, you've got to try and find something to do. And I have an idea of what I want to, I've just come up with an idea of what I would like to do this year when winter comes around. There's something I would love to go and do again. But yeah, summer breaks were just sort of, you didn't really have to think about it. It was just sort of like a lazy time. We'd go to visit family for Christmas, and potentially stay until like New Year's. Then we'd like visit a beach in the middle of January, and then Australia Day before coming back for. Do you mind, Mr. Plov? Gosh, everything comes out of the woodworks at 1 a.m. Good to know. Alright, the last question. What sorts of rules did you have in your house growing up? Um, I mean, the basic kind of ones, you know, keep your room clean, wash up after the dinner, make sure your homework's done, you know, no yelling inside, no fighting, those sorts of things. You know, like my parents weren't too strict, even if angsty teen me was like, wow, you guys are the worst. I think that's just angsty teen vibes though. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. You know, like there was nothing in hindsight that was too unreasonable. They were just sort of your basic sort of house rules. You know, we had to have our chores done before we could, you know, play video games or go and hang out with friends or whatever. Like the chores had to be done first, sort of a thing. But other than that, it was, you know, if you use it, put it back, you know, or like put it where it's supposed to go once you finished using it. So if it was like your plate, you make sure that it's in the kitchen so that it can be washed up. Those sorts of things. Yeah, it's pretty good. Anyway, that's it. That's the 7 questions for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to ring the little notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Let me know what your answers to these questions are in the comment section down below. Again, I will leave a link to this down below so you can read the full thing. There's other sets of questions that I will be doing as other videos in the future. I will also be writing these questions in the description so that you can answer them in the comments as well if you would like to. I'd be more than happy to have conversation with you if you've got a cool little story you want to tell. But that's all I've got for this video. So until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.